Hello and welcome to a new episode with your boy, your host, the Real Shot 256. This is the first and probably not ever seen before, unusual edition of Evening Crypto. This is Morning Crypto. It's not a thing. I'm just being facetious. If you know this channel, you know that we come to you every evening with the recap of the news, and we also get into the TA. And today, this is a very unusual cast. I will be admitting that right off the bat. I'm actually coming to you guys in the morning as opposed to in the evening. So a little bit different the format than we usually do. And today, also, I want to talk about. We just had last week. We just had the anniversary of the Bitcoin white paper release back in October 31st, Halloween. And so I want to do sort of a beginning of. I want to start the video off with sort of a recap of the last 10 years 11 years, I'm sorry, in the lifespan of Bitcoin and what we've sort of done price-wise with Bitcoin. Just kind of do a recap. I will be referencing my Instagram account for that particular content, so you guys can go over there and follow me there at the Real Shot 256, and you guys can look at all the content for last week's recap. We'll get into that here in just a tiny bit. And then we'll get into the charts as usual. We'll talk about Bitcoin mainly, some of the other players in the space. I particularly have not been able to really come at you guys with new content in the last week or so, just because I've been busy with other responsibilities. So I do apologize for the lack of content there, but I do plan to pick it back up here in the near future. I am going to be heading out on vacation next week, so it'll be kind of tricky, but I will try to give you guys an update, mostly on Instagram and Twitter. So if you're not following me there, go ahead and do so. The Real Shot 256 at both Twitter and Instagram. All right, guys. So let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's actually talk about what's been going on. We'll do a short recap of last week, and then we'll also do a sort of rundown summary of what Bitcoin has done in the last 11 years or so. So, last week, very interesting. Canadian lawmakers did approve a Bitcoin fund from 3IQs in Canada. So, another milestone in Bitcoin land. Canadian fund manager set to launch a new Bitcoin fund in major Canadian securities exchange. This would make it the second fund approved by legislators next to GBTC in the US, the first approved Bitcoin fund in Canada. This is the fund is created crediting both Van Eck Index Solutions and Gemini Trust Company, owned by the Winklevoss twins, for key support and playing an intricate part in the approval by Canadian lawmakers. So very cool to see. Furthermore, Canadian investment fund manager focused on disruptive technologies and the digital asset space announced today that it has received a favorable ruling from the public hearings before a panel of the Ontario Securities Commission. Again, you guys can read that on my Instagram, but for timekeeping purposes, I'm going to keep it relatively short on these posts. Again, you guys can go there and read the entire post. Also, Jack Dorsey investing into another ICO platform. We know that Jack Dorsey has been a huge proponent and promoter of the space. And here, he puts his money where his mouth is once again by investing in a second round fundraiser for the crypto platform CoinList, and this time capturing about $10 million for this past round. The guy has been, I think, in my opinion, one of the highest profiled celebrities to endorse Bitcoin and the technology. So hoorah for that! Definitely a great thing. Happy birthday to Bitcoin. So let's actually get into what Bitcoin has done in the last 11 years. So here we see a Bitcoin price chart back recorded on October 31st. And we do see here how the price of Bitcoin just has escalated from year to year on every anniversary, right? I mean, not just every anniversary, but I mean, it's just a recording of the price at that time, right? So 2010, we do see the big, huge jump from 19 cents, just 19 cents to $3.25, so on and so forth. There's a couple of instances where the price of Bitcoin was actually less in the prior year than the following year, like we do see here back in, call it October 31st, 2014, 2015. Slight difference in price, lower price in 2015, but then we do the following year, we actually double that, more than double that. Same thing goes for October 31st, 2017 and 2018. Slightly different price, slightly lower price in 2018, but then, I mean, we do about another 50% on top of that for this past 2019, October 31st. And going back also to in relativeness to gold, right? Back in 2011, 1 ounce of gold would get you about 584 BTC, right? 584 Bitcoins. And we do see the progression here, favoring Bitcoin and not really favoring gold. Back in 2013, 1 ounce of gold will only get you at that point 6 Bitcoins. Now to 2019, 1 ounce of gold will only get you 0.15 BTC, right? I mean, what a dramatic turnaround. Just a hugely contrasting price action there, and just the value of Bitcoin just says it all there. So if you're not, if you're running into this video and you're new to cryptocurrency, these are some of the things that you can sort of look forward to if you do decide to come into the space. But definitely do your own research. As I said, you guys can look at these posts here at the Real Shots 256 on my Instagram. All right, so and then also wanted to quote. Actually not quote, but actually refer you guys to my Twitter account. There is an eerie similarity in the conversations we are hearing today in regards to digital money. That's what government is for. And I am referring to what is being said here by Mr. David Letterman. This is about, I want to say about 30 years ago, mid 90s, where Mr. Microsoft here, Bill Gates, comes onto the show with David Letterman. They're talking about this whole new thing called the internet back in the mid 90s, and they're talking about how you can now stream, say, a baseball game on the radio through the internet. And David Letterman, in a sort of poking fun of Bill Gates, says, "Have you heard of something called the radio?" And everybody starts laughing, right? So these sort of things are being heard today, 10 years, 11 years after the first launch of Bitcoin. We still see people sort of reacting in that same sort of manner as when David Letterman was talking to Bill Gates back in the mid 90s, sort of poking fun as what supposedly this internet was bringing to to the lives of people. And well, again, while he's poking fun at a lot of these use cases that the internet was bringing forth, we do see the same sort of rhetoric from people who are not invested in the space, people who are just skeptical overall about Bitcoin and blockchain. But if you've been here in the space, you know exactly, why this industry has been hugely successful in many ways. But it is, unfortunately, it also has brought a lot of fuckery and a lot of scammery to a lot of people in this space. So again, if you're new, make sure you do your own diligence. Don't fall for just anything, and consult with people who have been in this space for longer than you have. That's usually a good rule of thumb. All right, guys. So just wanted to do a quick recap of, again, Bitcoin's birthday, anniversary, and sort of recap what happened last week, trying to make up for the lack of content here in the last week or so. All right, so we're currently trading at 249 billion market cap. Our 24-hour volume hitting about 80 billion. That's always important for time stamping purposes. But actually, let's get into. We'll start off with the S&P real quick. I do want to mention this because it is a significant thing to note here. The S&P did break through this previous line of resistance here. We kind of double topped and bottomed after that. We have been creating, or the S&P has been creating, sort of a lower high pattern here. Again, sort of a rising wedge here, and we did break above this previous line of resistance here around, what is it, 30.25, and has now reached over 30. And what was the high of this here today? So far, the high has been 30.85. So what we can expect from this is actually, we haven't seen these sort of volumes these sort of prices in the S&P. So what we can expect, actually, I mean, look at just the S&P, just, I mean, performing really, really well. So we are at definite new all-time highs. I think so far since Mr. Trump came into office, I think the S&P has seen well over 20 or 30 new all-time highs. In the last 2.5 years or so. Not going to get too political on this, but I mean, definitely, he's been calling this sort of his claim to fame. In traditional markets. So what we can sort of expect from this is that we actually potentially can move upwards and onwards here. I not without having a correction at some point here. I know that sounds kind of obvious, but I mean, really, we're definitely hitting uncharted territories, as we have been here for the last couple of years, and I do see continuation here. Continuation here before, but again, some analysts are saying that we should be topping off fairly soon here, especially with all the QE sort of activity that's been going on in the repo market, and the Fed cutting rates again. The sort of a definite sign of QE and a definite sign of a possible recession coming pretty soon. Within the next year, I guess, is what people are, these expert analysts are talking about. So sort of important, definitely, again, a new milestone for the S&P, worth mentioning. If you guys are trading in traditional markets, definitely hit me up if you guys want to have me look at something you guys are interested in, and I can always give you my opinion for what it's worth. All right, gold actually is kind of up and at it again. Back at 142, down from the all-time high at 146.82. It is finding a nice bounce here, and there is some relative confluence here with the S&P and traditional markets, as again we do see a rising trend here, again a bounce, as we do see here with gold, which is usually the opposite, right? People usually hedge in opposite directions, but gold actually following in and participating in these latest gains. All right, so we'll leave it at that with traditional markets. Let's actually get into Bitcoin. I know you guys, that's what most people are here for. Let's look at the latest and greatest here. We're currently trading at 93.10, 93.15 for the purpose of this timestamp video. Let's actually get into, let's start with a weekly here and clean things up a little bit here. There's a bit of confluence here acting as support with the 21 to 30 and the 100 EMA here coming in confluence here. And this should be, I mean, this should again act as definite support. Now, here's what I like about the weekly, right? I'll get into my plays and what I'm doing here in just a bit, but here's what's very interesting and actually is looking pretty good. We've been, ever since the move from not this past Friday, but the Friday before that. That was Friday, not the first. Let's actually go back. We get this right. The 25th, right? We had a huge move to the tune of about 42% total from wick to wick, and we've actually been trading above the 30 simple here for the last 2.5 weeks. Actually, 2 weeks and call it a day, right? And so we've been, if we look at, say, the daily. Look at how many candles we've been closing above 9,000, right? 9,200, 9,300. We've been closing so many candles. I mean, the area of interest which I had been talking to you guys in previous videos, 8,650, 8,700. Right around this area here where the 200 EMA was coming in at. We had a looming death cross here right before this move that would have, triggered, I think, a massive sell-off eventually and come back and retest this previous bottom here at 7,400. But then, it sort of is telling of what's going on in the background, as referring to mainly what these very heavy pocketed algorithmic institutional accounts are trading, right? And they did defend this death cross here between the 255 and actually turn things around for us. We not only did we get closes above that 8,650, 8,700 target area where the 200 is coming in at, but again, we actually started closing above 9,000, which was highly significant in my eyes. And I told you guys that was sort of the catalyst event that I was looking for in particular to sort of change my tune around the market and start looking at the market in a different way, right? Where we could potentially come back and actually see these previous highs back here. I'm not ready to call a $14,000 retest. However, it does this sort of price action. Although we've been stagnant here within say 99,000 to about 9,500, trading within that range in the last 10 days. Again, this 99 EMA here. No, I'd actually switched back to 89. I'm sorry. I did try to switch my EMA, the 89 to a 99, but it actually switched back to an 89. So sorry about the confusion there. But this 89 here is actually acting as support, and we've been trading above it. So this sort of gives us, again, that fuel to think about, what might transpire here. And I'm going to make a lot of you fractal traders out there pretty happy. But let's look at this fall here and then this bottom here. It's pretty similar to what happened here. Let's actually bring it in quite a bit more so we can see it. This sort of represents a mini version of this here, and then a breakdown like we did see here, a breakdown, sort of a fractal, right? And then we did bottom out and then bounce, bottom out and bounce. So look at this here. Where are we? Where is this thing at? There we go. So look at this price action here. Mainly there. And then let's look at the price action right here. Let's actually bring it up a bit. There we go. Okay. So, that's what I'm talking about. Everything looks very similar. If we are to continue on this path, sort of this rounded bottom here, we could potentially, again, if this is any indication of what's to come, then we could see a gradual increase, right? We've spent already about 10 days here in this sort of range, and we're sort of forming this. I mean, it's probably too soon to say it, but I mean, it does kind of actually look like a rounded bottom there, a mini version of again this rounded bottom here. I mean, look at how much time we spent here, just consolidating here and actually, stagnating within a very narrow price range. That could potentially be the same thing for this, but in a smaller scale, right? We should. I don't think we're going to wait all this long to actually. Let's get rid of this here to actually see this sort of move play out. Let's actually put a measurement to this. How long were we from this bottom to this? To a more active reaction here. We spent about 108 bars, so 108 days. I don't think we're going to spend nearly the same amount of time consolidating in this area. I do think we're going to find another move relatively soon. But again, it's sort of a mini version of what we've been seeing in the charts going back to 2018 and early 2019, right? Um, all right. So again, this sort of is telling of again this here is sort of almost telling of, if you believe in fractals, fractals, which again is not something that I'm completely against, because we have seen it most recently within this triangle formation here, looking eerie similar to this formation here, breaking down, finding a bottom, having a nice bounce. So we'll see. We'll see if we actually find a confirming or mimicking move here going forward, where we do find sort of a rounded bottom here, and we start moving upwards in price gradually. But again, it's not. I don't think it's going to take 108 days for that to actually pan out. I think that move should be coming sooner than that, sooner than 808 days, certainly. All right. So let's actually finish with the weekly here. And I think we're almost pretty much done with that. Yeah, so we were talking about, being above the 30, the 21, and the 100 simple here, acting as support. As long as we don't break down below it, and break down below, what is this line here? Previous area of support coming in at 89.75. As long as we don't break down below and start closing some significant candles, like a 4 hour or higher time frame, then I do think we should remain bullish, right? As long as we're above this area here, around 90.85, I do believe that we can continue on in the same pathway, right? As this sort of bottom, rounded bottom, looking like, from a daily perspective, action keeps happening, right? Again, if we break down, we're going to find that the 0.5 is coming in as support, along with this previous pivot here, or this previous area of support coming in around 8,500. I've actually, just in case, put a couple of buy orders at 8,200 and 8,300, just in case. I do think we could, potentially wick down below into these areas. That's sort of a far-fetched. I don't want to say far-fetched, because it makes me sound and look like an idiot or like a lunatic, but I do think, I don't think this is going to break down. But again, I have an inkling, and this is just me, that we can potentially wick down to about 8,300, maybe 8,200. So I've set some heavy buy orders around 8,300 and 8,200, just in case Bitcoin does decide to have sort of a flash crash, and pick up some buyers down in these ranges. Again, I just have this inkling that we might come back and retest these previous areas of support. Again, as long as we're not closing any significant candles below this 89.75 area, I do think we should continue on this gradual move. But just in case, I've set some buy orders down there. They may never trigger. That is fine. I'm okay with that. But I'm hopeful that we at least get a sort of a wick down in those areas, and I can actually pick up some Bitcoin at a nice discount. All right, not financial advice. I'm just sharing what I'm doing. You guys can do whatever you please. All right. So from a 4-hour perspective, I've actually been, in the last few days over the weekend, I've actually entered a few trades here, down here, sold somewhere around here. I mean, I didn't catch the absolute top, but we're just trading within this range, right? If this is any indication of the trend that we are in, we're probably going to stop somewhere close to about 93.25, 93.50, and then start to head downwards again. But again, on the daily is going to be really the telltale sign, if we are to actually break down. Again, from a daily perspective, 80, what is this? What is this coming in at? So 90, well, we'll call it 9100. I don't start to really worry about any moves until we actually breach down into what do we call 8975, breaking that area on the daily, closing like a 4 hour or an 8 hour, maybe a 12 hour, a daily below that area, then that actually starts to sort of turn things around. But as of right now, we are safe where we currently are at 9300. Let's go back to the 4 hour real quick. All right. Yeah. So again, this sort of trend lets us know that we're sort of trading within this channel here. So as long as we are not breaking above 9400, 94 to 9450, above this previous pivot here, 90, what is this, 9532. As long as we're not breaking this area here, where let's actually put a all right there. That's our next area of interest. I mean, we can definitely wick down above this here, but if we're not closing any significant candles above 94, let's call it 94.25, 94.50, as long as we're not closing any significant candles above that area, then it's not really something to really commit to. We probably will reject off of that area, come back and play this range here between this previous area support in 89.75 and what is this, 9400, 94.25. All right, that's kind of what I'm expecting here until we actually break out. Which again, this after this massive move of 40 some percent move, that's actually for measurement wick to wick. Yeah, about 40, almost 41%, 42% move. And I mean, off of such a dramatic, right? It's said to be sort of like the third most, how should we put it, violent move in Bitcoin's 11-year history. Somewhere around there. I don't know if that is accurate. I haven't fact checked that, but it's said to be sort of the third most powerful move, most significant move in upward price movement in the 11-year history of Bitcoin. Right. So no wonder we are taking our time consolidating here. And then we'll just see in the next, I think, week or so what actually turns out, what actually ends up happening. But in the meantime, there is some opportunity for some scalps, some quick turnaround trades, some daily trades. As I told you guys, I've actually been doing just catching about 1 to 2, maybe 3% on some of these trades, and then exiting quickly. But it's been a slow and gradual, just up and down. So, but it's pretty safe. I've also set some pretty tight stop losses during the day, especially during overnight. But I just have been trying to be as diligent as possible, checking my positions, making sure that we're still safe. But for this, like I was saying, because I do have a strong sort of intuition and that's all I'm basing it off. Is really, I'm just basing it off just my opinion, some intuition. I do think we might actually get into 82, 8300. I've got my positions already here, and I'm comfortable, and I'm happy with what I've got here so far. But I've also got some buying positions down here, right? Just in case I can catch some discounts on Bitcoin. But again, I'm happy with where I am here. So if we do end up breaking above this 93.50, 94, between 94.50, what is this, 94? Yeah, between 93.50 and 94.50. If we break above it, then I'm happy with what I've got already in here. So. And then again, I'm just protecting myself with a nice stop loss right around here, where this previous pivot is coming in at about 90.25 area. That's where I've set my stop loss, because I believe, again, I'm inkling towards we might actually catch some price action again, even if we just flash crash below. It's going to pick up a lot of buyers down in these areas. Okay, just for the if and when. Really not basing it too much off of not so much technicals. Again, because of this violent move, I do believe that we could have also a wick down below to these areas. Okay. All right. Let's actually move on to other things. Let's talk about what is this? A 3 hour. 3 hours. I was still looking very, very bullish at this point in time. Actually, above every major and simple moving average, trading above the 21 to 30. I mean, pretty much above everything. So it's sort of trading free with less resistance here. So again, from a 3 hour perspective, it also looks like, as long as we don't break 94.50, we're still within that channel here, within this range here. Let's see, the 2 hour, same thing as the 3 hour. Momentum is telling us we're kind of topping off here, so it might be a good idea to start. If you're just looking for a day trade or a quick scalp, this may not be a bad idea to start de-risking here, as it does look like we're starting to top off here within the range. And I mean, we've got a sort of something to coincide here. We've got sort of a double top here. It did act as so, and then we are setting a lower high. So I mean, this all makes sense from a short time standpoint. Right. I actually want to look at something on the daily here. Let's go back real quick, and then we'll move on to other things. So look at this top here. Look at this top here. Higher high, but then an even top here on the RSI. Sort of bearish divergence here, but we did see that correction actually play out. Right. So for those of you who might have been watching that, there it is. It did actually play out. All right. Wanted to quickly look at that. All right. Let's go back to the 4 hour. Let's actually look at Link. Link has actually been great. I entered a nice trade back here. I think it was Sunday morning. Was this Sunday morning? Yeah, it was Sunday morning. Entered a trade right around here. And so far, I'm still holding it. So about almost 3%, right? Almost 3%. I'm still holding it. I do believe, we can, if we get above this pivot here at 273, there could be continuation here. And Link is definitely known for that, right? Link is just known to make these really massive moves. So just a little FYI, that's what I did. Just depending on where we close this 4 hour here, I might start to either exit my position or decide to keep it for another maybe day or so, depending on where we close this 4 hour candle here. All right. Let's see. Let's look at the daily. See what the daily is telling us. I mean, just looking very bullish, just like Bitcoin, right? Right now we're above the 30 here. We do see the 30. Just in the middle of this candle here. So we're definitely trading above it, which is a good sign. Again, as long as we keep doing that, I am going to hold that trade until we find a reversal pattern or reversal candle, something that lets us know that, hey, this run is over, and we might actually come back and retest some previous areas of support. 21 coming in at around 259. If we break down from the 30 here and end up closing this daily below the 30, I do think we could definitely come back and retest the 21 here at 2.58. Okay, that's on the short term of things. All right, guys. Again, if you're enjoying the content, definitely hit the thumbs up, and also don't forget to sign up and hit the that button called subscribe button. Sorry about that, guys. Sort of brain fart. Let's look at BNB. BNB is actually looking pretty good. Being tamed by the 89 here, this EMA 89. I will go and readjust my settings here for next video. I do want to make this a 99 as opposed to a 89. So it is currently being tamed by the 89 here on the daily. If we do get above this here, we could actually come back and retest the 200. And I'm very much interested to see what happens if we do come back and retest the 200 here at 2175. We'll call it 2175. I'm interested to see what happens there. If we do get rejected, which is highly likely the first time around, we come back and possibly find support at the 89. All right, but not looking too bad. I do like what I see here with with BNB. I do think that if you caught this wick down below the 55 here on the daily, that actually turns out to be a pretty okay trade, right? Say you caught it at the 55, that would be about 7% trade right there. Not a bad trade. All right, let's hit up Litecoin. Litecoin's actually looking pretty good. Sort of this could be potentially break out if we do get above 63.40. 63.40, 63.50 is what I'd be looking at if we are to call it sort of a short-term breakout trade. And then we do have the 89 EMA coming in here, the simple 200 coming in here as resistance, and then we'll definitely have to take another look at it once we actually break out above again. What is this? 63.40, 63.50. All right, that is again on the daily. Let's get a little more granular here. Let's look at the 4-hour. Yep, I do like what I see here. If you didn't pick it up here, I'd actually wait for confirmation that we are going to break out above 63.40. That'll be a definite indicator to the 377 actually taming the price action right now at 61.84. The 377 here, that's a heavy area of resistance. If we do, and look at that, I mean, just textbook. Rejected, rejected, rejected. We'll see what happens here. It could actually potentially break out above it, and if we do, I'd be playing that. If we do start heading upwards on top of the 377 there, it's actually could set up for a nice trade. Again, not just because again I wait for confirmation, but not just because we've already done this here about 7%. Doesn't mean that this trade is over and done with. We've seen this sort of thing in the past, where if it breaks above this previous pivot at 63.40, 63.50, we could actually potentially see a continuation of that, which would be nice. We have seen Litecoin do this in the past, so I wouldn't count it out. ETH is sort of doing the same thing, but it does look like it's running out of fuel here. We'll have to see. This is the next area of major interest for me. 190.52. If we break above it, then 194.51 should be the next area where we're going to find some heavy resistance there on the 4 hours. So make sure you go back and look at the daily, working backwards now. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, being tamed again by this simple 200 and the 89 here seems to be getting a lot of the price action here. Both the simple 200 and the 89 EMA here. So from the daily perspective, it does look like we could potentially be heading to a halt here. So I would not try to enter again a trade here on Ethereum, although from a 4-hour perspective, the 377 actually looks like we're on top of it. So a little bit of contradicting information here, although the RSI is letting us know that we're sort of topping out there. So be very careful if you guys are thinking of, and the RSI here on the daily looks very, very flat, which means that we could easily find continuation to the upside here on the daily. So a little bit of contradicting information. I don't like it when I see that, because there's too much indecision for Ethereum, in my opinion. So I'm not going to be too quick to enter a trade. If we do break above again 190 on the daily, that'll be a significant indicator. 190 and also 190. That's perfect there. That's great confluence. I like that. So again, if we break above this here, 190.75, look for a continuation to 194.51, and then beyond to about 197, 198. Right. Okay. All right. That's all I got for Ethereum. Let's look at Cardano. Cardano did have another AMA from Hodgkinson's recently with their release of their mainnet, I believe. They had to do something with that. I don't recall everything about the EMA, but it's this price action here. Don't be confused. This price action has nothing to do with his latest AMA. This has everything to do with just playing with along with the market. The rest of the altcoins are doing the same thing. Bitcoin's doing sort of the same thing. So it's not based on news. It's just based on what the market is doing. So 377 coming in on top of the 4 hour here. That'll be the next area of support. It does look like it actually wants to reach up to 0.04347, where this previous pivot is coming in at. So it is. I like to see this because it's very, very much plain and simple, very clear, black and white. If we break above it, we do have continuation, and we should be testing 0.04489. All right, we put a line right there. All right, enough is close enough. All right, that's for Cardano. Let's actually look at the daily, see what the daily is sort of looking. 4-hour RSI is actually topping off. The daily RSI is looking like it might actually want to retry into the bullish control zone, but we do have this previous pivot of resistance here at 0.04350. Again, I like the fact that we are seeing confluence as we should. Not quite ready to enter any trades with Cardano at this point. XLM has actually been, giving back a lot of its gains from that previous run here. Sort of forming this bear flag, but a lot of coins are doing the same thing. A lot of alts are doing the same thing. So we'll just have to see what Bitcoin has in store in the next few days. And you can, as of the trend has been lately, that these altcoins are doing exactly what Bitcoin is doing. They are following in, so not looking too bad. The daily is, I mean, it's got plenty of range here between these two, between where it's at now at 60.069 and where the 200 is coming in at 0.0858. Let's see. Well, this is definitely a significant area of resistance right here. So depending on what happens there, we could potentially come back and actually this point right here will be another area of contention here, right there, about 0.78078, and then we'll see what happens from there. If we do see okay, so step by step, if we get to break above 0.0716. Then look for continuation to 0.07846 and then the 200. All right. The VAT real quick. Now we are still looking at the daily. Yeah, I do like it. We're now above the simple 200 and the 89 here on the 4-hour. I am liking this. This could be the next area of resistance here. Where was it? I lost it right here. Okay. All right. That's going to be the target. If you do decide to, because let's actually look at the 4-hour because it's going to show us it's trying to break out, I believe. No, not really. No, not what I had in mind. Yeah, no, not really. It's actually 4-hour is looking pretty weak actually. As long as we're above the 21 though, I'm not going to get too bearish on it. As long as we're above the 21. If we break the 21, then the 55 comes immediately into mind. And I would look for a bounce here at the 55 because that would also be a higher low, right, on the 4-hour. Okay. But I am sort of inclining to, so that I'm inclining towards the 55 being retested here and finding support there. All right. Let's actually, look at that. We might have found a nice little trade here. We did break above this pivot high here on the 4-hour. Does look pretty bullish. So this is where the moment of truth is going to come in. What happens if we retest the $3.55? Whatever happens at that range will definitely tell us, if we find a rejection 1, 2, that would be the third test. Again, these sort of tests weaken the resistance, so we'll see if it actually breaks up above it. All right, so let's pay close attention to EOS, and we'll finish it up here for today with Ravencoin. Ravencoin is just looking on the 4-hour, at least looks pretty darn bearish. Although I do think we might find a bottom relatively soon here. As long as we remain above this previous pivot here, that would also mean a higher low at around 309 Satoshis. Yep. As long as we're above 309 Satoshis, we're still defending this, and that could be a potential pivot low there, and could find that we actually come back and find a nice bounce right at these ranges. At the support zone here, right there. Switch it to green, as that is going to be acting as support. That is at the 4 hour. Let's look at the daily here, and we'll wrap it up. But again, guys, if you are enjoying the content, let me know. Give it a thumbs up, and also hit the subscribe button to so that you get notified whenever I put out this content. We are currently trading above the 30 here. Definitely looks like, I mean, it could potentially come back and retest this 21 EMA here. Let's actually find, but this is going to be, it's going to be a major area of contention here for Ravencoin BTC. All right, it does look like it's heading down into retest of this previous low here. But again, as long as we remain above it, we can find a bounce. And again, it tells you right here we've been trading in this range here, right? So as long as we don't break below it, then we're fine. As long as if we break above it, then we'll see where that leads us. But that would be a nice breakout trade. All right, guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining. Happy to be back with another video. We'll see you guys on the next one. Hope you got something in return or in exchange for your time here. We'll see you next time.